Calvary Chapel family. Welcome to this evening's edition of the Staying Connected podcast. I am glad that you're here. Alright, here we go. It's late. I did not get the service out tonight for the Wednesday evening service because we ran into some very big technical difficulties because we're trying to get some new equipment installed for the week, and I'm just going to mess with the slides while I'm talking. We have well, first of all, we are reading through the Psalms this week, Psalm 101 through Psalm 105, and Proverbs 3. So I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed this reading the Psalms together that we've been doing, and I hope you have been too. Hope you've been reading them with your family. So that's what we're doing this week, Psalm 101 through 105. Well, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Okay. There we go. Psalm 101 through Psalm 105 is what we're going to be reading this week with Proverbs chapter 3. I hope you're enjoying that. Also, get the church Scribe app. If you don't have it already, this will give you all the stuff that you need to stay connected to the church and find out what's going on, because we are doing some cool things. For instance, women's Bible study, ladies' Bible study will be on Tuesday mornings, and I believe they're going to be discussing lesson 4, not lesson 3, so that's not correct. But they are doing that over the Zoom product. So you need to get Zoom. If you don't have Zoom, install it on your computer. We will let you know the meeting ID so that you can plug that in and join. It is simple to use and it works really well. It's a great thing for us to be able to talk with one another and get to connect with one another. So the ladies will be doing that over Zoom. And we also have this Friday coming up a day of prayer and fasting. And this is going to be it's actually a nationwide event, but we're calling Grace Harbor specifically to pray for some specific things. If you go to praygraceharbor.com, this is a multi-church thing that's going on. We're going to have live stream times throughout the day. At 9 a.m. we'll be live streaming from Calvary Chapel, Montesano, and there'll be a couple other pastors there joining me. We will pray, but this is going to be from 6 a.m. in the morning until 6 p.m. at night. I really hope that you can join us for this, and that you would pray that day and fast if you can. There's some information about fasting on that website as well, and then there's also some stuff to pray about, some suggestions of what you could pray about throughout the day. And but we will be having those focused prayer times at 9 a.m. live stream from Calvary Chapel, Montesano, at 12 noon from Harbor City Church in Aberdeen, and then at 6 p.m. from Grace Harbor Foursquare Church in Central Park. And we're going to take communion at 6 p.m. as a community live over the live stream, and it's going to be very cool. So you will want to join us for that on Good Friday. It's going to be a really cool Good Friday. Considering what we have going on right now, I think this is going to be still a really neat thing to do. So please join us for that on Good Friday. It is going to be a really good time. And again, that's praygraceharbor.com. All right, what else do we have going on? Well, on Sunday, we have a special service, which we'll talk about in a minute, but at 5 p.m. Sunday night, yes, that's 5 p.m. Sunday night, we are going to have our Zoom meeting fellowship. And that's because it's Easter, and I want to give people opportunity to spend time with their families. But at 5 p.m. we will have a special time of fellowship, and I hope you join us. Get Zoom, download it, and you can put it on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, or you can dial in. If you just have a landline phone, you can dial in and join us on a conference call. So please do that, and We look forward to seeing you and talking with you. We've had some great fellowship times. Last week we had quite a few folks on there. It was so good to see everyone's faces and just touch base. So you won't want to miss that this Sunday. Now, we also have, as I said, a very special service on Sunday, and we are doing a service called Our Risen Savior. And you are going to want to definitely be here for this. You want to tune in Sunday morning at 10:07 a.m. We will have a special Easter service called Our Risen Savior. We are going to have folks from the church participating, and they will be participating remotely. We are hoping this all comes together the way that it's supposed to. You know how that goes sometimes, but we're going to go for it. And, if it doesn't come off perfectly, so what? You will see folks from the church. Hopefully, we will have an opportunity to minister and to celebrate our risen Savior, the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. And if all the technical stuff doesn't work perfectly, or the worship stuff doesn't go perfectly, because we're trying to do things by remote and things of that nature, well, that's okay. We're going to go for it. We're going to have a good time doing it. We're going to celebrate as a family. So join us for that as well. All right, let's get into Psalm 101. Psalm 101. And this is what was known as the Prince's Psalm. It became known as that in Europe because many believed that this was the qualifications for a king. This was a clear designation of what God felt and communicated to us through David, really how a king should be acting, how a leader should be acting, and what should be important to them. So it became known as the Prince's Psalm. So as we read through this, you will see kind of David's heart, but God's heart in David. Remember, David, God said, was a man after his own heart. And so David had this desire and this zeal to serve God and to live righteously. And even though he didn't always do that, and he blew it big time, this was David's heart. And God placed that in him, I believe. And there are many stories of how this psalm was used down through the ages to rebuke, to exhort different kings and people in power. So let's jump into it. And I will just put it up on the screen here, and you can read it as I do. A psalm of David. I will sing of mercy and justice to you, O Lord. I will sing praises. I will behave wisely in a perfect way. Oh, when will you come to me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. I will set nothing wicked before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. It shall not cling to me. A perverse heart shall depart from me. I will not know wickedness. Whoever secretly slanders his neighbor, him I will destroy. The one who has a haughty look and a proud heart, him I will not endure. My eyes shall be on the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He who walks in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He who works deceit shall not dwell within my house. He who tells lies shall not continue in my presence. Early I will destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all the evildoers from the city of the Lord. So this is this psalm of declaration and a psalm of David's intent to be a righteous king. And it is one of those, whoops, didn't mean to switch it back there. It's one of these psalms where, again, David is saying to the Lord, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to live. And he has, I think, a really good attitude about this, but I think he says some really hard things in this as well. I mean, it starts out great, I will sing praises to you. Well, that's awesome. I will sing praises to the Lord too. But then he says, I will behave wisely in a perfect way. Well, that's biting off a little more than I want to chew. That's my heart. I want to behave wisely, and I want to do it in a perfect way. Uh, but I know that's not the truth. That's not how I actually live. But David's heart is to do that, and he says, "Oh, when will you come to me?" David understood that he needed God's presence in his life, and we need God's presence in our lives, and to pray and to declare to the Lord, "I'll sing praises to you, Lord, because I want to feel your felt and real presence in my life. I want to know that you are here." And and then David says, I'll walk within my house with a perfect heart." And again, that's his intent. Uh, and then he goes on to say, "I will set nothing wicked before my eyes." And I just want to camp on this tonight, because he goes on to say what he will do to those who are wicked, those who aren't truthful, those who aren't um, righteous or have good intentions, right? He's going to cut them off. He's going to have nothing to do with those kinds of people. And, that's a, that's a hard thing in our life, is to say, I'm not going to have anything to do with these people, but sometimes we do have to draw a line and say, I won't have anything to do with those people. And as from David's perspective, David was saying, as king, as the leader, and most commentators believe he penned this right after his ascension to the throne, and that he wanted to establish, this is the kind of kingdom I'm going to rule. And leaders, they really have to be careful about who they associate themselves with. I mean, it only takes a glance at Washington D.C. to see we have a lot of leaders who uh, have not taken this kind of admonishment to heart. That be careful who you associate with, right? So David says, "I'm not going to do that." But before he gets to that, and he begins to talk about those that are that have a wicked heart, and that they don't, they're deceitful and all those kinds of things. He says, "I will set nothing wicked before my eyes." Right? He's saying, it starts here with me. It starts here. I'm going to choose not to set uh, a wicked thing before my eyes, right? No unclean thing literally is what this refers to. I will set nothing wicked or unclean before my eyes. And that's really what the world has, right? This world is full of unclean things. We're told in 1 John 2:16. It says, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world." This is the world that we live in, right? The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. It's not from the Father, it's from this world. And unfortunately, we are living in a time where we can set whatever we want before our eyes, pretty much. I mean, we're inundated with the ability to see and do just about anything we want. And of course, we're in shutdown mode here with the quarantine. And so the temptation may be to watch things we wouldn't normally watch, think about things we wouldn't normally think about. And I'm not saying all of it's wicked, but what are we doing with our time? How are we spending our time? What are we taking in every day? And David says, I'm not going to have any wicked thing set before me. In other words, I'm not going to look at things that I shouldn't. I'm not going to entertain things that I shouldn't. And so this is the qualifications for us as well. Those of us who are wanting to serve God and wanting to do what is right. This is not just for a king, but for us as well. The admonishment to not set any unclean thing before our eyes. It's tough because of the society we live in, because of the stuff that comes across the internet or the television. But we need to make a choice. Are we going to be those who can, like David, say, what did he say here in the very first, or I think it's in the second verse? He said, I will behave wisely in a perfect way because he wants to feel God's presence. He says, I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. Can we be those kind of people who can honestly say, I want to walk within my own house with a perfect heart? I'm not going to set any unclean thing before my eyes, or any wicked thing before my eyes, or anything that just, is not edifying, not helpful, not good. As we talked about from Philippians last week, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are pure, those are the things we're going to think about. Those are the things we're going to set our mind on, and we will walk within our house with a perfect heart. And that's Psalm 101. Thank you for joining me tonight with that, and I hope that you enjoyed it here on the Staying Connected podcast.